Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome to today's video. In this one, we're going to be installing a bunch of QA1 suspension components for the 1997 Mustang GT. We're going to be changing out the lower trailing arms as well as the rear sway bar, which I'm pointing to here now. A lot of these parts are just getting to the point where they're old and they should be changed out. And I just want to see how the car will perform after I make all these changes. So here's what all the stuff looks like out of the box. You can see a lot of the packaging was really nice. It's kind of like that insulation foam that helps expand and protect your parts. But here are the lower control arms that are all gloss black with new ball joints, which is another reason why we got these. The ball joints on the front are out. Here is the front sway bar, and you can see this thing is pretty beefy. This video isn't necessarily going to be an install video or how to install, but that's kind of the format that I started to do with the video, and then I started to speed through it. But either way, I hope you guys enjoy the content, and let's get started. Alright, so first thing first, we're going to go ahead and take out the rear sway bar, and to do that, we're going to remove this ABS line from its attachment point right here. And then there's two 13mm nuts, which I already used some penetrating fluid, but my guess is I'm probably gonna have to use a breaker bar to actually remove those. And then from the seating point on the lower trailing arm, I just took out our coilover from the SR Performance kit. So it's out of the way. It's gonna fall off anyways as soon as we go to move the trailing arm. So for now, like I said, remove these pieces, and then we'll do the same to the other side and get ready to remove this trailing arm for the rear sway bar. Now that our rear sway bar is ready, I'm going to go ahead and take out the OEM rear trailing arm. And to do that, you want to use your jack, move it from the diff, and support this lower strut back here, but stay out of the way, obviously, out of the lower trailing arm. And then use the 18 on the back of this guy, back here, and then have a wrench to just counteract the spinning. After that, we'll move to the front of the lower trailing arm and remove that piece, and then go ahead and get the new one fitted in while the jack is still in place. So old versus new, the boxed lower trail arms. A little bit different up here, more of an oval as opposed to a circle. So we'll go ahead and take this guy and then try to get it wiggled in right in here in this spot, and then get it in this lower portion and see how it looks. All right, we have the OEM rear sway bar and the new rear sway bar, and then we will put these guys and slide them on the new bar with some of the other hardware. And before we put it all back together, we're going to install the rear trail arm on this side first, and then once this side's installed, then do the opposite. If you try to do both at the same time, you're going to make it very difficult to align the suspension, so just do one at a time. All right, we have the lower trailing arms installed, and they're all torqued up with the Loctite on the bolts on the inside. So now we're going to go ahead and put the bolts for the rear sway bar. We have the I forgot what these are called, the blocks. So the blocks are installed on both sides. We're gonna do one side at a time, like I said. Bolt and a thick washer, and then through the hole. And then we'll take the sway bar and go ahead and install it. And then once that is installed, then we'll go ahead and put another thick washer and a nut, and then we'll loosely tighten it. We're not gonna torque it down until everything is square and makes sense. All right, went ahead, finished up the rear end. We have the rear sway bar installed. I torqued these down to 50 foot-pounds, and in order to measure if this is square on both sides, you can either measure from the back or the front. I did the front. So right here, I just measured about 18.5 and made sure it was the same on the other side. And this is what it looks like on the back. Made sure it's all square. All right, we're gonna get started with the front. You're gonna have to remove the caliper and probably just disassemble all this, but caliper, rotor, get the spindle out of the way. This is, I think, a 15 right here, top and bottom, take that out. And then we have both the bolts that are holding the control arm We have the tie rod, which might be in the way. I'm hoping it clears this nut right here and we can take that out. But most likely we're gonna have to move the tie rod off the spindle out of the way too. So it's gonna take a lot of work, but let's go ahead and get started. Alright guys, that's going to do it for this video. Unfortunately, I lost a lot of the footage for the front suspension install, but you can see here that the front sway bar and the lower control arms are all installed. They're all torqued up, and they look really clean and really nice, except now it's making me focus on everything else about the car that's really filthy and needs to be cleaned up. The last thing we're going to do before ending the video is just making sure that we take a grease gun and hitting all these different points in the front suspension and the rear suspension. There's going to be 6 points in the front and then 4 in the back, and that's pretty much it. Hope you guys enjoyed. Leave a like. Catch you in the next one.